It is a very warm start in here in my darkroom tonight. Yeah, I can't wait for the autumn, some nicer weather coming in. So, I see got a couple of people, 3 people here. Hello, anyone new? Is it your first time joining me in here? Are you regulars? So, right, what am I doing tonight? What am I doing tonight? Oh yeah, it is I started a new project a few weeks ago. Very warm. Starting here in my darkroom tonight. So this is yeah, I can't wait for the autumn, some nicer weather coming in. Been the site of a sheep market. So you see got a couple of people, 3 people here. Hello, anyone new? Is it your first time joining me in here? And are you regulars? I won this film. So this is Kodak Tri-X, and I won a box. So right, what am I doing tonight? What am I doing tonight? So, oh yeah, I started a new project a few weeks ago. Yeah, it's starting here in my darkroom tonight. So this is yeah, I can't wait for the autumn, some nicer weather coming in. Been the site of sheep market. So you see got a couple of people, 3 people here. Hello, anyone new? Is it your first time joining me in here? And are you regulars? I won this film. So this is Kodak Tri-X, and I won a box. So right, what am I doing tonight? What am I doing tonight? Oh yeah, I started a new project a few weeks ago. Yeah, it's starting here in my darkroom tonight. So this is yeah, I can't wait for the autumn, some nicer weather coming in. Been the site of sheep market. So you see got a couple of people, 3 people here. Hello, anyone new? Is it your first time joining me in here? And are you regulars? I won this film. So this is Kodak Tri-X, and I won a box. So right, what am I doing tonight? What am I doing tonight? Oh yeah, I started a new project a few years ago. Starting here in my darkroom tonight. So this yeah, I can't wait for the autumn, some nicer weather coming in. Been the site of sheep market. So you see got a couple of people, 3 people here. Hello, anyone new? Is it your first time joining me in here? And are you regulars? I won this film. So this is Kodak Tri-X, and I won a box. So right, what am I doing tonight? What am I doing tonight? Oh yeah. Volume off. There we go. It's less distracting for me. I hope it's not coming through to you guys as well. Okay, yes. So Chemo VC Kodak Tri-X, using my Rody Flex, so twin lens. And first one I want to print is that. So that's where we're going to start. Right, turn the lights. Set this to red filter. There we go. So all I've done so far is I've got it in focus. I've done a quick test of the chemistry, make sure that's all working all right. And that is it. So hopefully you can see that. I will turn the red light back on in a moment. I know it's a bit harder to see the negative. There we go. There we go, right. So that is in focus. Easel's all set to size. Stop this down. There's more time. 2, 3 stops. Okay. So if you haven't been in the darkroom before, the paper is sensitive to all colours of light except the red side of the spectrum. So that's why the red light. In the paper, one of the main ingredients makes it very expensive, which is silver. So all those crazy people
driving across the silver all the time. Thank you very much. Not. That for a moment. So what I've done is I've cut a little strip of paper and I'll put that down the main area of the image. So there-ish. I'll set my timer for 2 seconds. So this is where we make sure we know our 2 times table. I expose the entire piece of paper for 2 seconds. Could have chosen a better area, never mind. I then cover most of it with the box, just leaving a little bit showing. Expose it again. So that bit there has now had 4 seconds, everything else only had 2. To move it again, so 2, 4, 6. 8, 10, 12, 14. Okay. So this end up here has had only 2 seconds of light. This end up here has had 14 seconds of light and everything in between. Okay, I've been saying for over a year now I will get the other camera set up and do this all properly without a phone on a stick. One day. So already you can see it's changing, and then the end that's going darker, it's had the most amount of light. The end saying light has had the least. Okay. So 2 seconds, 4, 6, 8, and so on. Down here it's way too dark. Hazy now, you hope you're alright. So 4 is probably a little bit too light. 6 is starting to get too dark, but not by much. So I'm gonna go 5 seconds, maybe a little bit more. So I'm gonna do 5.5 seconds. So I'm liking the shadows in the 6, but I just want to bring a little bit more back. So there's our plan. 5.5 seconds. So from the developer, that now goes into the stop. Now I am cheap and I use water. And all this does is just stops the reaction of the developer continuing. And then from there, goes into the fix. And it needs to stay in there for about 5 minutes. These ones here are just me just turning the enlarger on earlier on just to make sure everything's working. Come back here. Okay. I'm not left-handed. Go. And those scraps I'll use to make key rings. No wastage here. What did I say? 5.5, that was it. 5.5 seconds. From there, towards the straight. Okay, start timer. Felt fast. round. There we go. Okay, so straight away, I'm relatively happy with that. It would be nice to have the sky a little bit darker. Actually, it's coming through quite nicely. Actually, I'm quite pleased with that. Okay. Okay, so here's one thing I want to change straight away. It's just a little mistake. Is this dark section here? That's just where the light's going past the easel blade. And it's a bit ugly. Yes, normally I would. Yeah, so the easel, normally you'd have it so it hinges towards the column. But I like having that wider border at the bottom, and the way I put the negatives in means it's facing this way around, and it's hot, it's late, I don't really want to be moving stuff around unnecessarily, so yeah, I'm just doing it this way. Just being lazy. Yeah, so I'm gonna make sure I block this area here this time, so I don't get that little shadow. Okay. So yeah, normally it would open the other way. That sits there just to block that. Exposure I'm quite happy with. Just leave that as it is. Thank you for your forgiveness. There we go. So when I was doing these photos, it felt really exciting. It felt like my first year at university, you know, going, chasing political protests and all this kind of stuff. You know, when, you know, as a naive teenager, you think your photos are immediately going to change the world and all this kind of stuff, you know. But the idea of going out, working on a project, following people, interviewing them, chatting to them and all that, and then going down the darkroom, making prints like this to take them up to my tutors to be emotionally torn apart. They were really strict and brutal, and I'm really glad they were, because it really pushed us forwards. But yeah, it felt like that. It had that sense of sort of, you know, fresh excitement. There we go, that's a lot better. Get that in the fix. So what I'm going to do is just, I like to make a spare all the time. Is before I change the negative, I'm just going to do another one of this. And it's always nice to do a spare for two reasons. One, you're making a spare for yourself, you might want that anyway. But also, I'm going to go back to this place. I'm going to go and photograph them more. I'm going to see him again. So I can give him this photograph of him as a gift. And that's a really nice thing to do when you're starting a new documentary. These people, they don't know me. They've met me this one time, and they're really welcoming. But to sort of build that rapport, I suppose, more, give them a print. Yeah, like that. Right, let's do that again, and then I'll swap negative. Cardboard on the ends. This is true. Yes, I make the photographs for me. But when you're at university, and actually still now, yes, the photos are for me, but I still value that critique. I want to be better. And the best way of getting better is to take on the feedback of others. So, I think you commented on the one with Laura Noble, where she talks about portfolio reviews. And when we had Pete Davis on as well, who was one of the choosers who used to tear me apart, their insight, and it's not just a case of, oh no, it's not good enough, whatever. They would say why, and that why is fundamental. And it might be sometimes something that you're already aware of, but you don't want to admit. And I've had that before where, who was it? Leonie Hampton, when I was doing my masters, Leonie Hampton's a great photographer. And some of her feedback really upset me at the time, because I was so sure of what I was doing. But there were things in there that I was trying to hide from myself almost. I was trying to see past mistakes or slightly sloppy composition. And her feedback really did actually help me. I just didn't want to admit it at the time. I suppose the pride got in the way. So yeah, although you should make photographs for yourself, you shouldn't be beholden to what other people say and do. Take the feedback all the same, Yeah, it was. I mean, that episode was a bit of a sort of a chaotic. Oh, let's talk about this, and sort of thrown together, but it was fun. So the next one we're gonna do, it is how you learn, and there's people I've shown my work to before who have really been quite aggressive in their views towards it. I'm not going to mention any names on those because they weren't particularly constructive. They just gave their opinion in a very blunt way, and then that was it. But there's been others who have been wholeheartedly supportive, and they're the best, because being supportive doesn't mean saying they like it. Being supportive means... have you heard of a rat sandwich? I don't know how wide that term is. So when you're giving feedback, this is a teaching thing. When you're giving feedback, 3 things. So it's a rat sandwich. So the bread's good, the filling is a rat. So you start with something positive, you then give some areas for improvement, and then you finish with the other slice of bread. Destructive criticism, you don't. Criticism which is, pointing out the errors, pointing out the mistakes, isn't destructive. But it is destructive to the ego, and that's the difference. So destroy the egos, and if you get past your ego, you can become a better photographer. I'm not making much sense of it. I think I'm confusing myself. I hope that's coming through clearer than I imagine. Right. Okay, I'm going to give that a minute longer in the fix before I turn the light on. What time is it? Oh, loads of time. Cool. Steve, I think we should have you as a guest on the podcast sometime. You always ask such great questions. Ah, right. Okay. That was that one. Right, another film. A few wanted to do in here. Let's go with that one. Okay, I'm going to try and get this the right way around for the easel. Hey, fella, right way around now. Okay. Hopefully, you guys can make that out. There we go. You should see it. Alright. Who would be my number one photographer? That's easy. Eugene Smith. I am mildly obsessive about Gene. I've watched every documentary about his work. I've read every major book about him, and some of the more obscure ones. Yeah, his sense of narrative, photographically, is fantastic. His printing, his toning, everything about him as a photographer, wonderful. As a father, he's terrible. He was a terrible dad to his kids. But as an artist, yeah, hard to beat. And yeah, I've held some of his prints at the Victorian Albert Museum a few years ago. Right. We do a new test strip for this. New image, new test strip. It'll probably be very similar, having been on the same morning. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10. Squeeze 12 in there. Yeah, you've heard me talk about Gene a bit too much, probably by now, Steve. Okay, someone more contemporary, someone working now, who I also admire, is a Japanese photographer, Kasuke Okahara. He's based in Nagasaki, I think. A wonderful printer, great documentary photographer, but he's more of an artist. Now, he works in a documentary fashion. That's a 2, 4. Yeah, I'm about the same. I might actually go a little bit lighter. So the very end tip there is 2. 6 it gets quite dark. I might go 4 seconds this one. And yeah, Kasuke Okahara, he's been doing some wonderful stuff over the last few years, 2-3 years, where he's been making these giant sheets of washi paper, so very, very thin paper, which he's making by hand. He's then coating it in a photographic emulsion and then printing onto it in the darkroom. And this paper is like tissue paper, thin, and they're like 2 meters long. Absolutely incredible. What am I doing? 4 seconds, I said, isn't it? 4 seconds. So another good book, just thinking of the podcast episodes. Another good book is On Being a Photographer by David Hearn. It's a very conversational book. But in there, I think it's in the 5th chapter, might be slightly earlier. He explains the fundamental images that make a photographic narrative. And there are 3 types. You have your establishing shot. So this is the opening of a story. It's like the first few seconds of a film that tells you where, when, and maybe the what is going to be happening in the film. Setting the scene. This is my establishing shot so far, I think. We know immediately that this series is about agriculture. It's about livestock, sheep in particular. We get a sense of place. In terms of the railings behind, and the sheep are all sort of hemmed in together. So we know that it's not out in a field. So that's my establishing shot. It's a good book, yeah. There is a PDF of it online, just saying. So after the establishing shot, we then need to introduce our characters, which is the portraits, the people in the film, in your story. And then we put that with what they do. And that is called the person that works. It's not about employment necessarily. It can be their employment, but it's what they do. So the idea of this man here working with the sheep, you get a sense of his role. And then the other example, which I haven't printed one yet of, is the relationship. So establishing shot, person at work, relationship. Those are the 3 fundamental building blocks of a photographic narrative. Everything else is your context. So the little details, the landscapes. And a portrait can be a person at work. A person at work can be a relationship. A relationship can be an establishing shot. And any of these combinations. Photographer biographies. Gene Smith's Sync, very, very good. Obviously, I'm going to mention Gene. Man Ray, self-portrait. That's not bad. I quite enjoyed that. It's a read once, move on kind of thing. It's not a keeper. Ansel Adams' autobiography is so heavy going, I couldn't get past the first page. Excuse me. Yeah, it was just too intense. What else? George Roger, his diaries. There's 2. There's Red Moon River, I think it was called, which is what he wrote or he released back in the 40s. And then the follow-up was done. It was called On the Road, and it was published in 2009. I know that because I was involved in the book launch, so I remember that one. I did another print of this. So yeah, they're quite nice ones to read as well in a kind of more diaristic or biographical manner. What else? John Steinbeck. I know he wasn't a photographer, but A Russian Journal is also well worth a read if you haven't. So this was in 46, 47. And John Steinbeck went to Russia, or the Soviet Union as it was then. And with him went Robert Capa. And the book is basically a diary of their journey and their travels and their experiences. It is very much a case of, oh, this is the quality of the champagne, etc. But it's one, and there's a chapter in there written by Kappa where he's basically angry at the quality of the bath and hotel, and it's just this one chapter is just a rant about the quality of the glaze. That's wonky. Need to reprint that. Yeah, I think John le Carré is definitely easier to read than Ansel Adams. Which is a shame. I really wanted to enjoy Ansel Adams' autobiography, but I just couldn't get into it. Yeah. Print's nice, borders are wonky. I'll do another one. It's horrendously wonky. Let's get this right. It's not standing straight. It's a bit wonky too. That's a bit better. It's a little bit dark this side. And if this was heading towards the final print, I'd be dodging that area. Okay, war photography books, and yeah, if you haven't read it, Red Moon Rising, as I say, I think it's called, it's George Roger, and it's his diaries as he travelled through Africa and into Asia during World War II. So he got trapped in Morocco or Tunisia, I think it was, because the lines got broken, he couldn't get back. He was able to send his film back, but he wasn't able to get back himself. So he sent his film back to Life magazine, and he just went forwards. And he ended up going from Morocco, Tunisia kind of area, all the way to Saigon. And Life magazine refers to him as the most travelled correspondent. So yeah, the diaries of that is well worth a read. I managed to find the first edition of that on eBay a couple of years ago. Very tatty, but it's a good book. No, it wasn't. I mean, this is the thing. There was so many companies producing film. Film was accessible. It was affordable. Now, you've only got really 3 or 4 big producers of film in the world, and there's a few artisan ones. Kodak is pretty much everything. You got Kodak. You got Lucky in China. So they've just released, or at least it's now more available in the UK, Lucky 400, which is colour negative film. That's not based on the Kodak emulsion. You've got Ilford and Harman, obviously, as well. And then you got Adox. All the other companies are essentially one of those with some alterations. Whereas before the digital revolution, there was hundreds of companies, so there was a lot more competition. Therefore, the prices were lower. Now it's more of a niche thing, more of an artisan thing. Now, I used to buy Kodak Portra, and I would buy 5 rolls of that for £30. Now 1 roll is about 20 quid. It doesn't equate to the cost of the rise in inflation over 20 years. That's nice. Yeah, I've got more colour film than I need at the moment. I've got some Pro Image 100 Kodak in the fridge, which is nice. I bought it, and the Wonderland had it on offer about a year ago. So I bought a box while it was cheap, and it's still in the fridge. I've got some Fuji Pro 400H, which is insanely out of date, in the fridge. And that stuff's like gold dust, so I'm kind of saving that for something special. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, some of that stuff's been there for, as I say, like 10 years or more. I'm now mainly black and white because of coming down here. Alright, let's change negative. What time is it? I can do another print. So this one, I want to crop this one a little bit. Looks like right. So this one we got over here. We got one of the people bidding, who's just decided to stare directly in the camera. I like the eye contact. A new image, a new test strip. Two seconds. 4, 6, 8, 10. No, I fridge it in like a Tupperware box, and I try to avoid sort of taking it from fridge to room to fridge to room, so I don't get condensation. Hey, I forgot to stop that down. Goes in the bin pile. 1, 2, 3. Let's do that again. And yeah, I find black and white film much more forgiving for keeping cold. I think I'll be scared to actually freeze film. I think I'll be too worried about ice particles on the film. I know people did that when Kodachrome stopped. Okay, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 4's quite nice again. I might go a little bit darker. 5 might be too much. Let's do 5 seconds. So all these photos, same morning, same place, same light, same film stock, developed together. And each one has had subtly different ideal exposures down here. Get a shadow from that. Not terrible. Let's go. There's another dog barking outside, so she can hear it. Okay. Right, I'm going to do one more of that. Actually, two more of that, because I've got my little mistake there at the bottom edge. And then we'll call it a night. So, what we got coming up? Right. Almost a Focus podcast. Next episode, we're going to record it in the coming week, is looking at AI in documentary photography. Something I never thought would actually be a subject, but we have a few examples. So we've got that. Take half a second off. And then the episode after that is going to be the 1 year birthday of the podcast. So Almost in Focus is a year old. Madness. So we're going to try and do something special for that. I've got no idea what. We have too many ideas and not enough time. What else? We have, or I have, I should say, the London Stereoscopic Photo Walk. 3rd year of this. That's coming up in mid-October, starting in Carnaby Street and walking to Elephant and Castle. So it's quite a long walk, but it's stereoscopic, all in 3D. So if you're into 3D photography, you want to know more about 3D photography, come along, join us. You can borrow a camera, or I'll show you how to do it with your phone or whatever camera you have. All details of that are on photowalk.me. I've got some videos I'm working on. So I'm doing something which is going to link up with First Call Photographic, who is where I buy all my Darkroom paper from, and all my chemistry. They're great. And I'm going to be doing a video comparing a bunch of different papers. So one image, a bit like I did last month in here with the pastel papers. I'm quite pleased with that. But yeah, looking at about, I think the plan is I'm going to do about 10 different photographic papers. So different brands, different finishes, different materials. So you get a sense of what's best for you, what's the best papers to buy for the way you work, kind of thing. That's the idea. So I'm going to start filming that this week. And what else? I'm going to be doing some stuff with some universities. So doing some workshops and stuff like that as well, on top of my own teaching. Be nice. And hopefully going to do more of this project if I can get the time to go over there. Special guest appearance on the podcast. We would love that. We have reached out to a few people. Something that we're considering, I don't know if we've got enough time to put it together, would be having multiple guests, so sort of re-guests of people who have been on previously, which would be quite good fun. But I don't know if we've got enough time to pull that together really now. We'll do something. We will mark it. Oh, I forgot to do that bit at the bottom again. Oh well. I got one good print out of this. This one I can trim down and give to them. That's fine. getting too hot for me to carry on in here now, to be honest. There we go. So that is Tri-X on Kentmere in work print. So no final prints here, but something to pin on the board and scribble ideas on. And then next time, what am I going to do next time? I don't know, actually. I might be Dragon film, actually. I've done some stuff with Dragon #1 in 35mm and their new 120. That's available for pre-order. So that's quite nice stuff. I might do some prints of that maybe next time. Or maybe I do, if the weather's nice, I might do another outdoor photographing through to printing kind of session. That worked quite well before. Go. My messy darkroom. There we go. Alright, let's go. Give those another minute and then I'll turn the lights on. Yes, so Steve, no, you're more than welcome, mate. It's nice to actually have a bit of backwards and forwards with these things, you know. And yeah, so yeah, thank you for coming in, watching a bit more printing. If you've enjoyed this and it's something you'd like to maybe try yourself, obviously there's loads of great resources out there for it. I would be a terrible self-promoter if blinding myself. Yeah, I'd be a terrible self-promoter if I did not mention my book, Light Paper Time. No worries, Steve. Yeah, so this is a very, very small book. It's available now from my website, so tombobborland.com. Also at Analog Wonderland, it's available there as well if you already are planning on buying some film or whatever there as well. And it just breaks down how to set up a darkroom, how to print, what I've shown you with the test strips, etc. in there as well. Yeah, so from my website, £15. Analog Wonderland slightly more, but they also don't, or they don't charge you postage. I do charge you postage, so it kind of balances out the same. Thank you, Sarah. Always good to hear from you as well. Yeah, so there's that. I am working on a follow-up, which will be more of a workbook kind of scenario as well. So yeah, that's in my typing pile currently. Yes, there we go. I'm going to open the door, let some air in. Dog needs a wee. I will see you next time. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Also do the same at Almost in Focus Almost in Focus podcast, both on Instagram and on YouTube. All right. Bye, everyone.